David and Goliath moment. I had a Garrett and the Seagull moment. It was David and Goliath. I went right out there. I had a slingshot. I didn't really have a slingshot. What I had was a little hard submarine that my 2-year-old likes to play with in the pool. It's really hard. You pull the cable on it, and then the propeller goes, and it goes in the water, and she gets it. So I was having my David and Goliath moment. I'm David. I picked this thing up. It's about this big, and I had lost my mind. My wife says, "Where are you going?" I said, "Get it." I'm done. Come out the one side, my back doors open up, I creep around. These guys are such shit talkers, these birds. They do not even move. They just turn and look at me like this. Look over their shoulders. They don't even move. Then I start moving towards them. One of them, guess what he does? Take a guess. Take a guess what this bird does while looking at me over his shoulder. Take a guess what he does.
Take a shit.
Shits in my pool with the white fucking shit. Again, just shits right in my fucking pool. And I'm like, God help me. Jesus, give me the power. Let me slay this Goliath. I take this submarine from across my pool. I'm 20 yards away. Save my family from the shit of these seagulls. You allow people to shit on you every day. Christian means you need to be soft. And that's when Trump was everybody around, including all his fucking... So here's what happened. After all the squawking, in about 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Do you know what happens? Take a guess at what happens. Guess what happens? What happens to all the birds? What happens? Shh. Silent. Gone. It's currently Tuesday. We've heard birds squirting at our house for almost a month, every morning, every night. They've been landing in my pool and shitting my pool 15 to 20 times a day. Do you know how much shit was in my pool today? Do you know how much shit was in my pool yesterday? Do you know how many seagulls are flying around my house anymore? Do you know how many seagulls have decided to camp out on our neighbor's roof? So here's the end of my comedic parable. When you pretend that you are violent, that you are a plastic owl, and you're trying to deal with people who shit on you, you will continue to be shit on. And you can turn your other plastic cheek, and you can continue to be a fake alligator, and you will continue to be shit on. But if you continue to allow this to occur, you deserve the shit in your pool. At some point, you're going to have to pick up the monkey submarine from your daughter, and you're going to have the throw of your lifetime and blast a motherfucker. And then let everybody around, including all his fucking seagull friends, know that you better go find a more peaceful pool with a retired 85-year-old couple who doesn't have the intensity to fucking fight you. Oh, wait a second. That's our president. Wait a second. You better go find a pool with a geriatric guy who can't even fucking stay awake in interviews with the Prime Minister of Israel, who can't even field questions without forgetting what his fucking cue cards say. You better go find a pool with a weak-ass grandpa who's not going to give it. Oh, wait a second. Am I talking about the President of the United States today? Am I talking about the public puppet? Here's something interesting. Do you know when the Middle East threatened us when Trump was president? Do you know what he did? Go look it up. He made personal phone calls to people in these organizations. When North Korea wanted to fuck with us, guess what he did? He said, you go ahead and fuck with us. I will fucking destroy your entire country. You fuck with my country. I will bring more heat to your small little Kim Jong-un place. I will fucking bury you. Right now, we have a president who wants to continue to posture fake owls and fake alligators, continues to blame everything that actually built this country. Some of you have become so soft, you've become twisted Christians. You think that somehow being a Christian means you need to be soft and nice. No. Soft and nice gets you shit on. And now some of you are going to say, listen, that is my role, to be shit on. Or it's not. Or it's not. At some point, I relate more to Peter. They come to Jesus in the garden.
Thank you. Blessings
I can see how this whole thing went down. Judas betrays. They send the boys to come get Jesus. Peter's like, fuck you. You fucking come and try to touch my friend. Come and touch it. Let me show you what I'm going to do. Fuck you. And cuts his ear off. And it's not just a cut your ear off business. He was fucking people up. So here's the challenge that you have. Let's wrap this whole little message back around and make it about you and not seagulls and the president, right? Because I've given you some messages. The president's not your problem. I want you to consider that there's currently seagulls in your life, terrorists in your own life, who you allow to continue to shit on you every day. And you continue to tolerate it. Some of it, it's your husband. Some of it's your wife. Some of it's the way your children behave. Some of it's your mother-in-law. It's your parents. It's the people you work for. Some of it is the people that you employ. Some of it is your customers or the people that you currently service. You allow people to shit on you every day, and they don't give a fuck. Any different than the terrorists and Taliban currently give a fuck about anything Joe Biden says, because they know they are dealing with a plastic owl. They are dealing with an alligator who does not bite. And once you know that someone will allow you to shit on them, the shitting will never end until the violence begins. So, if you haven't seen Jocko's presidential speech, I would encourage you to go look up Jocko's presidential speech. He's not a president. He just happens to be a badass ex-special forces guy who's written a whole bunch of great books. He gave a speech. Go look him up on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. You'll find it. Look up Jocko, Jocko. Look it up and go watch it. This is how the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America should have fucking responded when it came to what we were going through in Afghanistan. The debate is not whether or not we should be leaving Afghanistan. We knew that was the plan. It was the willingness to exit the way that we did, and the willingness to sacrifice with no regard human life, American citizens and our allies, to allow people to receive violence while we want to talk about fucking transgender studies. So, choose what you're going to do for you, but I'm going to give you a suggestion. Pick up a rock and hit a motherfucker. Stop being a doormat. Stop shrinking in fear. Stop being terrified of verbal, emotional, and physical violence, because you are in a spiritual war that's being manifested in physical ways in the kingdom of earth. This war is running rampant, and we are currently in a battle for men and women's souls and in this life. This game itself will demand that you take a stand. And that doesn't mean that you won your Call of Duty tournament on your fucking gaming system. Make it about you. Take a stand for your children. Take a stand for your wife. Take a stand for your husband. Take a stand for your family. Take a stand for Christ. Take a stand for yourself. Lop a fucking ear off or two. Notice it wasn't Peter's job to put the ear back on. Jesus does the healing. We simply do what we're asked to do. And as funny, as silly as it may be with my talk about seagulls, the reality is most people I know not only allow the seagulls to set up nests next door, but they just start to call it normal that they're being shit on. I saw an interesting quote today. I decided to post it on the old Instagram, and it said, a wise man once said, a bee does not argue with the fly about why honey is so much sweeter than shit. Makes sense to me. So if you find yourself deep in a shit cupcake, it might be time for you to swap to some honey. How do you do that? You meet darkness with darkness. I'm going to share one last thing with you from the Bible, just so you can feel all biblically connected. Here we go. It's my favorite verses. Would you like to know my favorite verses of the whole Bible? I shall share them with you. Here they are. My favorite ones. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void. The earth was without form and void. And darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. All creation began in the darkness. It didn't start in the light. Creation began in the night. And there was a Spirit of God across the darkness. And there was void. And then watch what happens. Verse 3. Watch this. Then God said, let there be light. And there was light. Creation did not start in the light. Creation started in the night. And you and I are currently standing in the night with an opportunity to fight and an opportunity to speak light. I like to change the word for a second. Give me a little Garrett J. White translation. You ready? And God said, let there be truth. And there was truth. And God said, let there be fight. And there was fight. And God said, let there be facts. Because really, I'm just here sitting listening to him because I'm trying to avoid taking action and speaking on camera here. But I need my family, the people in my family, to stop trying to change me. Stop trying to change me. Stop trying to get me to not be who I want to be. You know, like they keep trying to get me to, for instance, not wear the wig or the wigs that I wear. You know, it's like I wear what I wear and I put what I put on in the morning and I do what I do, how I do it, when I do it, because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better to do these things, right? It makes me feel better to do these things. I don't know why. Well, I know why, but people don't. I don't know why people don't understand why. Okay, so I know why to that too. People are constantly trying to change people, you know, because really they're trying to, you know, like I have this Rastafarian sister who believes I shouldn't wear my wigs. And then I had this other sister
right? Is that when people are asking you to change what you are and what you want to be and what makes you happy, they do not care about you. They care about them. They care about you stop doing what you're doing for one reason, to validate what they believe in. It's like if she's a Rastafarian and she wants you to not wear a wig or a straight hair or get a perm or whatever, she's trying to get you to validate her views on hair and Rastafarian and pro blackness. So she could feel validated in her, what she stands for. And if and also it's when a lot of in this case when a lot of black people when a lot of black people are asking other black people and asking black women to not wear the hair they want to wear, it's because they're self-conscious about their own hair, the same hair that they have. And when they see you wearing something different, it makes them self-conscious about it. That it's like they feel like you're rejecting your hair, which means and they have the same hair, which means you're rejecting their hair. So it's still a selfish thing. I mean, you're not gonna get away from selfishness. Everything you do is based on selfishness. We're all doing things for selfish reasons. There is no selfless deed. Everything is about doing something um, for yourself. Everything you do is either directly or indirectly related to what you want and what you stand for, and it's about you. You're just making it about the other people because you're assuming that they don't know that that's what you're doing, and to make yourself feel like you're a good person. You know, don't wear that, don't wear this, so you will feel better. It makes no sense. How would you pass this boundary, which is my area, my space, and know what makes me happy? It's not possible for you to know what makes other people happy. You only know what makes you happy because you belong in your own head. You belong to you. You don't know what makes me happy. That is not for you to know, and you will never know what that is unless I tell you. But when I tell you and when I do it, you say I shouldn't do it. I should do what makes you happy. When people are worried that the way you look and the way you carry yourself and the way you are is going to get judgment from the outside world, it's still a selfish thing. They're telling you to change who you are so other people in the outside world won't judge you, which means in some indirect way they won't judge them. It's like it's association. Um, we could call it trauma because it is kind of a trauma they're experiencing. It's like if I'm doing something and I'm associated with them, then um, in a way, it makes them look bad. It's almost like if you're walking with a crazy person, you get self conscious about walking with a crazy person because people are looking at you walking with them because they wouldn't walk with them, so they're wondering why are you with them. So when people are doing that, it's really based on them. It's based on them feeling self conscious about what you're doing and how it's going to make them look. So it's still a self serving thing. It doesn't matter if it makes you happy. You should forfeit your happiness for what they want. And these people don't understand anything of what you're saying. And it's crazy because they do understand. They just don't want to agree amongst themselves because they don't want to acknowledge that they're wrong. That's number one. And they don't want to acknowledge in front of one another that they're wrong because then that's kind of embarrassing. But that you were wrong all along and somebody's now correcting you. Okay, and they want to be right so bad, so they feed into this whole, this one person is validating my views, this person is validating my views. So um as long as we agree on the views and they're validating it, so this means that I'm right, and I don't have to deal with the uncomfortability or the discomfort. I don't know where I got that word from. I've heard it more than once before. They don't have to deal with being wrong. Okay? There's something else too, and I can't think of it right now. Is that people are trying to change you so they can feel better, so they can look better. It's like, I said to myself earlier, it doesn't matter if I'm wearing a dead bird on my head. If it makes me feel good, that is way more important. And if it makes you feel a certain way around me, then maybe you shouldn't come around me. Yeah, but still, even if I'm in your home, you don't get to come and tell me as a grown person. I mean, I don't think you should tell children what to do either, but that's, my outlook on life. You don't get to tell me as a grown person what to do. You can't leave your space and come in my space and decide that you do what you do to make you happy, but I should do what you do to make you happy. If this is not the pinnacle of narcissism, I don't know what is. If this is not the pinnacle of narcissism, I don't know what is. You do what you do, I can't change it. You don't want to change it. But I do what I do, and you should change what I do to suit you because it's right. I'm not concerned about what is right. I'm concerned about what feels good. Because it's more important to feel good than to look good. Look good as in looking good as in look being good as in looking good in people's eyes as in being a good person and looking right. Looking good in that sense is what I'm speaking about. I feel like it's more important to feel good. So if what I do to look good makes me feel good, that's what I should do. Because you cannot step into my body and feel for me, and you cannot heal me from whatever I'm going through. And I cannot heal myself overnight. It's like they want you to heal overnight, and they believe you can, and they can't because they're not healed from their bullshit. It's just that when people are going through their own pain, they tell themselves that the pain is not there, and a lot of suppressed pain, a lot of suppressed trauma, a lot of suppressed issues that um, that they're going through, and that is causing a whole shitload of problems in their lives. But they don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want to acknowledge it, and for the most part, they don't know it's there, even though they kind of know it's there because they're feeling themselves. But they exude the symptoms of people who are miserable. They exude symptoms, but at the same time, they're saying, "I'm not miserable," because they're assuming that you don't know what misery looks like. And maybe because in my case, I'm not always in every moment good at explaining what misery looks like. It doesn't mean that they're not in misery. It doesn't mean that I don't know what misery looks like. You don't get to enter my space and tell me, look, don't do that, don't do this, don't do this, do that. Oh my God. This is where I have to find my bravery. I have to find my boundaries and say, listen, leave me alone. It's so uncomfortable, you know. And I think my biggest issue is I don't I think I'm afraid to be homeless and hungry because until I start receiving money, I don't have money yet to um to help myself until I get to where on my feet. And it's like I'm afraid if I don't do things a certain way, I'm gonna end up on the street because people are gonna be like, "Well, this is my home and I pay the bills here, so you have to do what I say. Okay, to stay here." It's really messed up that that's how life is right now for me. It's really jacked up. It's really jacked up. You know, people want to so badly to like tell me, how to live my life, what to do to be happy. I wouldn't know what that is. They know best. They feel myself. It's like in my case with the hair thing. People are convinced that right and wrong exist. That because I grow my hair from my natural hair from my head, it's the one I should always wear. Now, while it's good and healthy to accept your natural self and heal to the point where you're not ashamed of anything about yourself, it's still a time and a work in progress on to getting there. You don't just get there overnight, right? You don't get there overnight. Okay, and you can't just heal. And while it's healthy and best to accept your natural self, it's also best and healthy to give yourself and do to yourself things that makes you feel good in the moment, things that raise your vibration, things that takes you out of any depression you're in, and whatever it takes. It doesn't matter if it's natural, it doesn't matter if it suits other people, it doesn't matter if they agree with it or not. If it makes you feel if it makes you feel good, you should be doing it, because feeling good is the most important thing. Because when you don't feel good, you live a miserable life, and then you make other people miserable because you're not feeling good. Okay, because you're trying to um, you're gonna be just like these other people who are trying to get other people to be like them and do things their way to validate them. That's what miserable people do, and that's how we know they're miserable. These people who are telling me I shouldn't do things and I shouldn't wear a weave because it means I'm miserable and insecure. No, the insecure part is probably right, but everybody's insecure. The reason why they're telling me to not wear it because they're insecure. They're afraid that if they don't stand for what everybody else is standing for, then they're gonna be the one that is the outcast, and they're gonna be the one who's being judged, which means they're a bunch of cowards. People are gonna judge them for not judging me. It's like if they're not judging me, then somehow me and them is in the same class, in the same level, which means they're just as bad as me, and they can't afford that because they can't afford to suffer the discomfort of people disagreeing with them, and people of them losing people, and potentially causing rejection of them, and conflict. And really, this is what it is. Because I don't know why people don't see. You cannot leave your space and come to my space, into my energy field, and decide that you know what's best for me. You don't know what's best for me. You know what's best for you. You know that when I wear a weave, it's best for you. Where I don't wear a weave, rather, it's best for you. Because then I won't look crazy, and you won't look crazy by associating with me. It's about them. It's a selfish thing. It's not about you. People who care about you, they want you to do whatever you want to do to feel good. That's what real love is and what real care is. Whatever it is you want to do to feel good, they'll allow you to do it. And this is somebody people who love themselves. Because when you love yourself and you don't need people to change who they are to validate you and your views. When you love yourself, you don't need people to change who they are to validate the way you look and what you have, because you and them have the same thing. People who love themselves don't need to to not, they don't need to disagree with the minority just to agree with the majority so they could fit in with the majority and avoid conflict and avoid being rejected and avoid being alone. We will do anything to not be alone. But if you have to do those things to not be alone, it's an indication that you believe you will always be alone, which means you don't believe that you're capable of attracting the right people in your life, which means you don't believe that there are people out there for you, which is another symptoms of self-hatred. People who love themselves can tell the majority that, you're wrong, you're probably wrong, you're not being authentic, majority. You're just simply um doing and saying what is right because everybody else in the majority is saying it. And as soon as one person from the majority says something different, they start to shift and kind of merge with what that other person is saying, because that other person is somebody that they respect. Because that other person is a part of the majority, they don't want to lose anybody in the group. But when you, the scapegoat, is saying what you're saying, they have to disagree with you because they don't want to agree with you and then be in a state of not um, agreeing with the majority, because then they lose out and now they become the outcast. They become just like you, the black sheep, and they can't afford that. And you're telling them things and they know it's true and they know it resonates, but they don't care if it resonates, because it's never about it resonating. It's never about them telling you that you're right. It's about you being wrong, and no matter what, even when you're right, you're going to be wrong because they don't want to build you up with rightness. They don't want to give you the credit for that. So they have to make sure you're wrong. I'm gonna have to cook today.